Well, hello everyone and welcome to our first video in this topic of excretion, which is all about waste and how the body deals with waste. One of my favorite hobbies, and I wonder if some of you guys do it too, is scrapbooking. Yep, get a book, get some nice colored pieces of paper, cut out some nice shapes, write some nice words, paste some photos, and gather all my memories in one place. Now, of course, such creative activity comes with its cost. One of which is my table is usually left in a mess. You want to guess why? Well, of course, such scrapbooking activity often results in a lot of waste being produced. Paper waste, eraser dust, things that you don't want around. And of course, I just sweep it all away, throw it away in my rubbish bin. Now, your body has lots of activities going on, and all these activities also result in some waste being produced. So what does your body do with such waste? That's what we're going to look at in this chapter. So here are the learning points for our first video. What is metabolism? What is excretion? Why is it important? And what is some examples of excretory products and organs? You can find them in your textbook on this page. So organisms are full of chemical reactions and full of activity. If you look at this picture here, it is a picture that shows you, want to guess? It is a picture that shows you all the chemical reactions which take place in a single cell. That's crazy. I do not want to learn about all the single reactions in a cell. But the point is that chemical reactions take place all the time in the cells of organisms. And we've already encountered many chemical reactions in the previous chapters. So just for example, in the previous chapter, we learned about how organisms take glucose, combine it with oxygen to produce energy. And I hope you can still remember the name of this reaction. Yes, it is respiration. And of course, another example would be what happens in leaves in plants, where they take carbon dioxide and water with the energy from sunlight to produce glucose. And of course, this reaction is photosynthesis. And of course, stretching even further back, we think about reactions, for example, in the liver, where the liver takes excess amino acids and converts it down, breaking it down, converting it to urea. Hopefully you can remember the name for this. It's a bit harder. And the name of this reaction starts with D. It is called deamination. And so we've learned about many chemical reactions in all the previous chapters that we've looked at. Now, although there are many chemical reactions that we've learned about, they can be simply classified into two kinds. Chemical reactions may be catabolic or anabolic. Catabolic, which sounds a bit like catastrophe, right, is a kind of reaction where there is breaking down. Right? In particular, it is where complex substances are broken down to simpler substances. And anabolic reactions are the opposite. It is where simpler substances are built up into more complex substances. So in this case, catabolic reaction is like, taking a great Lego model and breaking it down into its little Lego pieces. And anabolic reactions are like taking those little Lego pieces and building them together into something bigger. This diagram here kind of just repeats the point in the previous slide. So simpler substances to more complex substances, this sort of reaction is called anabolic reactions. And from complex substances being broken down to simpler substances, we call these catabolic reactions. Now we might have done this in class or we might have not. Either way, I want you to look at your notes, and there's a table there. I would like you to classify the reactions that we've learned about as catabolic, which is breaking down, or anabolic, which is building up. Okay, have a go at that. So pause and try it. So hopefully you got something like this, where these are the catabolic reactions, where larger complex substances are being broken down, for example, glucose being broken down in respiration, or large food molecules being broken down in chemical digestion. And anabolic reactions are reactions where substances are being built up. So simpler substances, like many units of glucose, are built up into a larger molecule of glycogen, or proteins are being synthesized from amino acids. So what then is metabolism? Well, metabolism is the sum of all the chemical reactions which take place in an organism. So all the catabolic reactions and all the anabolic reactions in an organism happening continually, that is the metabolism of the organism. So the organism's metabolism is made up of all the catabolic and anabolic reactions which take place inside it. So there are all these metabolic reactions taking place in your body, and they are all needed for you to survive, for your cells to survive. However, metabolic reactions produce waste products. So for example, respiration, where glucose is combined with oxygen to release energy, produces the waste products carbon dioxide and water. And these waste products can be harmful to the body if they are allowed to accumulate or to build up in the body. So there is a need to remove them, and the process of removing these waste products is called excretion. The waste products need to be removed through excretion. So an analogy would be like when I'm doing scrapbooking, there's all these craft waste which is produced, or when I'm trying to prepare a nice meal, even though I prepare like a really nice fried rice, there's all this waste that's also produced which I need to remove or need to get rid of. So what exactly is excretion? Well, the definition given to us is that it is the process by which metabolic waste products, or waste products which are produced by metabolism, and toxic substances are removed from the body of an organism. And excretion is important because if these waste products are allowed to accumulate or build up in an organism, they can become harmful. Now, excretion takes place in all types of organisms. Whether you're a unicellular organism like this amoeba, one cell, or a multicellular organism like a human being, excretion needs to take place because metabolism takes place and waste products are being produced. And these waste products need to be removed from the organism. Now, in most unicellular organisms, excretion occurs very simply. It occurs by diffusion. So example, in this amoeba, let's say it's doing aerobic respiration and it produces carbon dioxide. Well, that carbon dioxide can be removed from the cell by diffusion, right? Carbon dioxide just diffuses out of the cell. Similarly, if there are excess mineral salts, they can just diffuse out of the cell. Of course, there are these special structures called contractile vacuoles, we'll talk about them later, which also help to release excess water from the cell. However, if you're a larger organism, you can't remove waste products through just diffusion, right? You don't see waste products just diffusing out of you all the time. No. Larger organisms have excretory organs that perform the function of excretion. So examples of these excretory organs, can you think of any? So for example, how is excess water and salt removed from our body? Which organ does that? Or how is carbon dioxide removed from our body? Which organ does that? Or how is urea removed from our body? Which organ does that? So here are some examples. Right, we've got our skin, our lungs, the liver, and also our kidneys. But the liver is a special one. It produces some products which then go into the small intestine and which are then removed through the feces. Right, we'll get to that in a bit. So one important point to highlight now would be the question, is egestion the same as excretion? People often confuse or use these words mistakenly. So I want you to go back to your textbook, page 101, to find out the definition of egestion, and then compare it to the definition of excretion, and ask yourself, is it the same? So pause the video, go and have a read, and then come back here again. If it's not the same, then why is it different? Alright, so the definition you should have seen is that egestion is the removal of undigested food from the body. Now that's different from excretion. Excretion is the removal of metabolic waste products, right? Waste products which are produced by metabolism. And undigested food is not a metabolic waste product, right? You didn't produce it through metabolism. It's just something that you ate and it wasn't digested, it wasn't absorbed, so it's coming out of you. So that's egestion. It's different from excretion. Alright, time for you to do some work. I want you to turn to the textbook on page 223. There are some examples there of excretory products and how they are excreted. I want you to complete the table in your notes. So pause the video here, complete the table, and refer to these pages to learn more about what are the excretory products in our body. Okay, this is the table you're supposed to do. So try it first. Alright, I hope you've done the hard work. Let's have a quick summary together, shall we? So the skin, yes, the skin covers your whole body. It's the largest organ of your body and it helps you in excretion. The waste products which are removed through your skin through sweat. That's stuff that comes down your face during PE. And through sweat, the body can remove excess water, excess mineral salts, and nitrogenous waste like urea. It's called nitrogenous waste because urea contains nitrogen as an element. And that's not surprising because urea is formed from amino acids, right? And we know that amino acids, proteins, have nitrogen in them. Note there's this excess water. Why do you think, why is water a metabolic waste product? Which metabolic reaction produces water? If you haven't got it yet, it's something to do with respiration. So just go back and look at the respiration equation again, and you'll see that water is actually a metabolic waste product of respiration. Next, we have the lungs, and lungs, the waste products removed from the lungs through expired air, which you breathe out, carbon dioxide, and excess water vapor. Next is the liver. Well, the liver actually produces bowel pigments from breaking down hemoglobin, and the bowel pigments are then removed via feces, right? So they're excreted through the feces. Now this is different from egestion. Remember, egestion is undigested food passing out through your body. But in this case, the bowel pigments which are found in the feces are a form of excretion because the bowel pigments were produced by metabolism. So these are a metabolic waste product. So in this case, you can call it excretion. Finally, we have our kidneys. And the kidneys, well, they produce urine. And in urine, we find a lot of the waste products of the body as well, which are being removed through urine. So your nitrogenous waste, again, urea, we'll see more of that in the next part. Uric acid, creatinine are two other nitrogenous waste products. Excess water and excess mineral salts will be removed through our urine, which is produced by the kidneys. So here's a summary table of what you should have filled up in your notes. Just leave it here for you guys. Please read through it carefully and compare it to your own effort. And that's the end for this video. We will move on to the next part now. We will look more at the kidneys, the urinary system. PP.